We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become?
Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
It is picked up by the line. Darius Slay's got it. Coming back right side 25. Picks up a block at the 30. Darius at the 40.
Drink it in, drink it in. Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Rolls to the right. Stafford throws deep. Got a man out there. End zone. Caught. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Marvin Jones.
Stafford! Drink it in, drink it in.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Cornbread.
Stafford! Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Welcome to the Detroit Koolaid Cast. This is Griff, going solo today. There's a couple things I want to talk about before I talk about doing a Lions draft. I know Derek's really big on doing a full 7-round draft, so I did one of those myself. But there's a couple things that happened with the Detroit Lions this week, and I want to give you my take on them. First one is that they signed running back C.J. Anderson from the Rams on a 1-year deal. This is the guy they decided to go for after missing on another Rams running back, Malcolm Brown. Once again, they signed Malcolm Brown to a offer sheet earlier this year, but it was matched by the Rams, so Lions had to keep looking. C.J. Anderson last year, I'm not quite for sure how to feel about this signing. He started off with the Carolina Panthers, played 9 games for them. I believe over those 9 games he had less than 200 yards rushing. They released him, and he signed with Oakland, and before even touching the field for Oakland, he was released. He was picked up by the Rams in the last couple games of the season. A lot of people think it's because the Rams weren't quite for sure with Todd Gurley's injury, if he was going to be okay, if he would be able to play. But C.J. Anderson made the most of the deal that he got from the Rams. He was in 2 games, rushed for almost 300 yards, had a couple touchdowns. And then he played really big in the playoffs, had over 100-yard game with a couple touchdowns as well. Now, C.J. Anderson, he's about 5'8", about 225 pounds. Now, it doesn't sound very tall, but it's more like a bowling ball guy that they're looking for. Obviously, they're looking to replace Garrett Blount, and they feel C.J. Anderson can fit the bill. So he looks like he'll be the short yardage guy, the thumper that they're looking for, the guy in the red zone 5 yards and in. He adds to the backfield where they already have players such as we all know Carrion, the re-sign of Zach Zenner. They have Theo Riddick is still on the squad. So once again, it being only a 1-year deal, I don't think this can be a bad signing for the Lions. I don't think this stops them from even looking to take a running back in the draft, either another thumper that they may be looking for, or possibly even somebody to replace Theo Riddick. As me and Derek have discussed in the past, it seems like Theo Riddick doesn't have the same skill set that he had when he was younger. He may be losing a little bit of his touch, his quickness. He still has great hands, and he still has the ability to pick up a blitz, but it looks like he's just the age is starting to catch up with him, so the Lions may be looking for somebody to replace him in the draft. But the C.J. Anderson signing, like I said, I'm not quite for sure how to feel about it. I guess the biggest positive it's just a 1-year deal, so I don't think it's really going to hurt the Lions that much at all. Another thing that happened this week for the Lions, I know a lot of people really don't pay attention to their front office, but they fired Brendan Profit this week. He had been with the team for 3 years. He was the he was the pro scouting director, and once again in the Lions organization, he was pretty high up. He only answered to about 3 other people. One obviously being Bob Quinn, and then a couple other personnel people that were also a little higher up the chain than him. Not quite for sure why this happened. I've been trying to find out. Maybe it's just a little philosophical differences right there. Maybe Prophet likes one type of player, and Bob Quinn and his is looking for a different type of player for the Lions. But anyways, after 3 years, Brendan Prophet will be no longer employed by the Lions, and the Lions, I'm not quite for sure who they're looking to replace him with. Once again, this just once again shows that Bob Quinn is looking to always find the best talent, either on the field or in the front office. So this can only be a good move for the Lions right here. And once again, I think they're going to be able to find somebody who will be able to fit the bill, who they're looking for, and be able to help this team get better talent on the field. Once again, we know that's what we're always looking for at Detroit, trying to get the best players on the field. So with those couple points out of the way, we all know Derek is a big draft fiend. He's always looking to break down players, looking to run many mock drafts through a lot of simulators that are out there, and he always shoots me his little drafts when he finishes them. He always likes to compare the ones that are done by the guys on the NFL Network, Mel Kiper, other draft beats such as that. So with that being said, I generally don't run like 7-round mock drafts. It's one of those things, the guys in the back half of the draft, they're too hit or miss, I guess. I usually like to do the first couple. I mean, I know you guys have listened to me and Derek, and even on the last podcast we had Chuck Dog in. We ran through the first round. But you know what? I decided to run a 7-round one, and I know Derek's going to listen to this, and then at some point just kind of shake his head and kind of pick at me about guys I took. But this is what I came down with my mock simulation. So once again, in the first round, the way it all fell, the mock simulation had Kyler Murray going first, Joey Bosa going second, Quinnen Williams going third. But the guy who fell to the Lions who I really liked, once again, was Montez Sweat. He's the edge rusher out of Mississippi State. Once again, Montez Sweat, he's 6'5" and about 260 pounds. He's fast. He runs a 4.4 40. But there's a couple things about him that that are negatives that I may look at and not how can I put it, that the Lions will need to work on to get him to be the top line edge rusher that we're looking for. Now, besides the positives of him and he's once again, he's fast. He plays with really good leverage. And he's a long strider. If you watch him run, he's got a really long stride, so he can gobble up grass and be able to track down players from behind. And this definitely helps him get to the quarterback and closing the gap. But with that being said, he needs to be a little more fluid. Sometimes he can play it a little tight, and that'll affect him, coming off the edge, especially in the pros. I mean, you can get away with that, going against some of the players in college, but in the pros, they know how to coach it up to really pick out your weaknesses. So once again, the D-line coach for the Lions, defense coach for the Lions, they're really going to have to get him to play a little more fluid. Plus, I believe he needs to get a little more power in his lower half, and he's a little lanky. I know that helps him, with his speed and his long strides. But in the pros, everybody's a little bigger, a little faster, a little stronger. So if your lower half is not as powerful as it could be, you could get knocked off the pass rush a little quicker. Even sometimes maybe if you come up against a powerful running back, get knocked over. And I know we've seen the best of them get bowled over by the powerful running backs in the NFL. But it's one of those things like he'll have to maybe work on his power in his lower half just to make himself a little stronger. And once again, if that happens, it can only help him in the long run with the Lions. In the second round, once again, if he's still there, I would take Rock Ya-Sin, because everybody knows how much I like this guy. But I have him as a first rounder. So I'm going with Amani Oruwariye. He's the cornerback out of Penn State. I know this is a guy that me and Derek have talked about once again. He's 6 foot, 209 pounds. He runs about a 4.47 40. So he's got pretty good speed at cornerback. Once again, like I said, he's 6 foot 209. He's a big quarterback. Big cornerback right there. Big cornerbacks are always a nice thing to have in today's NFL, going up against those really tall, fast, wide receivers. I got to be strong, got to be big to be able to press those guys. And another thing, just by looking at him, watching him play some of his games, there were some passing offenses in the Big Ten. He's really good at handling the double move, and we've seen guys like Nevin Lawson. A double move, he gets picked on really quick, and the guys by him. It also happened a lot with Tease Tabor last year. It seemed like he always bid on the first move. So if Amani can come to Detroit, he can be really good at the recovering from a double move. That can only help him. Now a couple downsides of him. Once again, he's not as fluid in the hips, so that's something that has a lot to do with turnings coming out of your brakes, being able to have quick movements, being able to catch up with wide receivers. And another thing, I don't know if he'd be asked to do this based on if he was on here, but sometimes he gets lost on good crossing routes, and the wide receiver can pull away from him. And once again, we saw that a lot with Detroit last year. Nevin Lawson happened to him. It happened a lot to Mike Ford later in the season. They would run crossing routes, and it always seemed like those guys were always 2-3 steps behind him. So once again, I think Amani Oruwariye, I think it would be a real good pick for the Lions. My third round pick, this guy, Josh Oliver, tight end out of San Jose State. He's 6'5", 250 pounds. What's nice about Josh Oliver, I know the Lions, I've read a few things that they are interested in this guy. He's a good athlete. He's got really good speed and good size, and that can only be really helpful for what the Lions need at tight end. We saw their lack of production last year, and we thought maybe at one point Michael Roberts was ready to break out and become a star. He had a couple nice games, but he's still in the roster. I'm still open for big things for Big Mike, but I think Josh Oliver would be really effective in this offense. A couple things that Josh Oliver needs to work on is coming out of his breaks. He's not as good coming out of the breaks, so that's one of those things, like especially at a tight end, just running like little hook routes, little dig routes, being that safety valve that Matt Stafford would be looking for, coming out of the breaks, something clean and crisp, being able to get away from either safeties or linebackers. That's something he'll need to work on. He's better in vertical routes than crossing routes and like short routes, and once again that has to do with being able to come out of your breaks. And I know they Lions, once again, they took Ebron, trying to hope to get seam routes, much like Rob Gronkowski. And there was a couple times they tried it last year with Levine Toilolo. It seemed like there was a few times he was able to get down the seam and make a couple catches. Once again, I'm not sure why the Lions don't re-sign Levine Toilolo. I think we might have found something with him. But Josh Oliver, I think he would be a really good fit for this team. My fourth round pick is Lamont Gaillard. He's an offensive center out of Georgia. Now he's 6'3", 305 pounds. Now, I'm not for sure where the Lions are going to go with Graham Glasgow, and I know right now Graham Glasgow, he seems to do a really good job picking up or calling out the defense, picking up blitzes. There was points last year where he did get beat on a few things, stunts, twists, things like that. But I know they could be looking for another right guard, and I think Glasgow could play that, or maybe Lamont would be able to translate from center to guard as well and play right guard here. Couple pluses on him. He's a good athlete. He's tough. He's smart, and he's good. He's got really good upper body strength, which is good. Definitely needed, especially being able to hold up on a pass rush, and maybe being able to pick up blitzes and pushing or creating space for the running backs. The hard part with Gaillard, you heard his numbers. He's 6'3", 305. That's a little smaller. So I'm not quite for sure if that would really be able to translate to guard. But I know there have been guys in the league his size that have had really nice long careers. But with him being smaller, and he tends to struggle with the speed rush. So that seemed to happen last year a little bit with Frank Ragnow. He would, on speed rushes, twist, he would have trouble picking them up. But we're not for sure if Lamont would be able to translate into the NFL and be able to pick that up here. I mean, him playing at Georgia, he did see a lot of really good defenses, so I feel it was a pretty good pick there. I know Derek might think that might be a little bit of a stretch, but I don't know. I thought it was a pretty good pick. In the fifth round, once again, we talked about this guy before on an earlier podcast. I would be happy if they were able to get Bryce Love in the 5th round. I know I said his measurables before. Once again, he's 5'11", about 213 pounds. Once again, he's quick, he's fast, he's smart, he's got good hands. This would be the guy that would eventually look to replace Theo Riddick. I know a couple things. He's just an injury concern. I know at one point when he was at Stanford, this guy was a big-time prospect for the pros, Heisman contender. But something happened. It's just, like I said, had some injury bugs right there, and he really, really fell off. Because I know a few years ago, this guy was predicted to go in the 1st round, be Mr. Everything. But if we'd get him in the 5th round to replace Theo Riddick, I would be more than happy with that. Not quite for sure how effective he would be picking up the blitz in the pros. I know Stanford tends to run a pro offense as well, so I'm sure David Shaw had him on the field to do that as well. But that's something he could work on. But I really like Bryce Love. If we were able to get Bryce Love in the 5th round, I would be very, very happy with that. In the 6th round, the Lions do have a couple 6th round picks, and I know there's some positions you're wondering why I haven't looked to fill them yet. One position Derek's always talking about is getting another wide receiver. So in the 6th round, with their first pick in the 6th round, I took Miles Boykin, the wide receiver out of Notre Dame. He's a big body. He's 6'4", 220 pounds. He's got good size and length, and he's got good body control. And I know if anybody watched the Michigan-Notre Dame game, he was able to go up and fight for the ball. He made a couple nice catches down the sidelines on the Michigan defensive backs. But this would be a guy that we could look to, if Lions were looking to move on from Marvin Jones, this may be the guy that could look to take his place. I really like his size, 6'4", 220. That's good. Couple negatives that we have to deal with him just by watching a few things. Once again, if you watch the Michigan game, you saw in the first quarter he did really, really well. But then after that, they changed the way they played him a little bit and they pressed him a little more. So he really had trouble throughout the year with press coverage, getting off that. So if he comes up against a big, tall, strong defensive back in the pros, he may have trouble getting off the line. There's something that the Lions wide receivers coaches and offensive coordinators would have to work on to get him freed up in space. But I firmly believe, his speed, his length, he'd be able to get downfield. Another issue that he's had in the past at Notre Dame, and we've had this with actually Lions wide receivers in the past, is that sometimes this is concentration. He can have a bit of the dropsies here and there, and when he has the dropsies, it's not a one here, one there. It'll go in spurts, and it's like the yips in golf. It'll show up, and he'll drop a few passes in a row, and ones that are wide open, easy catches, and then somehow he'll make a tough catch where he really needs to concentrate, and he'll get right back on track. That's something the pros that really, really need to be cleaned up. We've all seen the Lions wide receivers that have the dropsies in the past, and I know Lions fans have been pulling their hair out when that happens, and we scream, "Catch the ball!" But that's something Lions wide receivers coaches, if they were to take Miles Boykin, he would have to work on. But once again, 6'4", 220, good speed. I like this guy. Now, the second 6th round pick, we're in that point of the draft where I always like to take kind of like skill position guys, kind of hope they pan out, and linemen at this point is what I'm looking for. I'm done kind of looking for defensive tackles. I'm done looking for linebackers. I'm kind of looking for guys that maybe the diamond in the rough offensive linemen and defensive backs or wide receivers, something like that. So with the their sixth pick, the second pick in the 6th round, I have them taking Xavion Smith, the cornerback out of Alabama. Now he's once again another big cornerback. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. Now what he's really good at, and what once again Lions defensive backs coaches like to have done, is that they like their defensive backs to tackle. He's a really good tackler. He's really good at tackling. He has really good skills at it. Keeps his head up, makes a lot of good tackles. Really likes to stick his nose in there, and that's a nice thing to see out of defensive backs. He's also good at various coverages. Alabama ran some man, they ran some zone, and he seemed to pick it up pretty well and did well when he was in there. Now, one of the negatives on him, at one point last year, he was really, really hit and miss, and he got benched. So there was points where he was struggling. I don't know if it was a confidence issue or if he was just missing things. But I do remember at one point last year for Alabama that he was benched for a few games, but he came on again late in the year. Another problem is he's not as fast as other defensive backs. And I know Derek talks about Tease Tabor, him being Mr. Slow. I think Xavier Smith, he's another one that he's just not as fast. So you would kind of hope that his skills and being able to recognize things would help make up for that. But he can get beat on various routes. He does have a little trouble picking up routes and recognizing what the route will be. I don't know if that can be coached up, but the big knock on him will be his speed. But what I think will outweigh is that he does like to come up and make tackles, which is always a good thing as well. Now, once again, the Lions in the 7th round. They do have a couple 7th round picks, and the first pick of their 7th round, I ended up taking Michael Dieter, the offensive tackle out of Wisconsin. Now, Michael Dieter, he's a big man. He's 6'5", 309 pounds. He's him being that size, Wisconsin generally produces really good offensive linemen. They know how to, they're really good at run blocking. They can hold up in the pass block as well. Wisconsin, once again, they recruit and produce road graders. So this could be a guy who could, fill in somewhere down the road, be a nice backup offensive lineman for the team. He's got really good leg drive, and which will help him obviously with the run blocking right there, especially going up against bigger defensive linemen in the pros. And he's pretty decent at run and pass blocking. I know in the past the Lions have drafted, it's like this guy's really good at pass blocking. They hope he can develop the run blocking, or vice versa. This guy's really a road grader, but he struggles with pass blocking. Can get beat. I believe Michael Dieter, he's a guy that he's not awesome at both of them, but he's fairly adequate. Adequate maybe is a bad term. He's not really good, but he's good. He's good enough at run blocking and pass blocking. I don't think he's elite, or obviously I would have taken him higher in the draft, but I think he's pretty decent at both run and pass blocking. A couple negatives with him being as big as he is, with such good leg drives. Sometimes he struggles with powerful opponents. Guys that are bigger. He may not be able to push them off the line as much, create space as needed, which once again it does surprise me a little bit for a Wisconsin offensive lineman, but maybe that's something the Lions coaches can be able to coach him up and give him a little better technique. And sometimes he does give up ground a little too easy on pass rushes. Instead of I realize with the pass rush, you do give a little ground, but sometimes he gives up a little easier than what he needs to. And in the pros, you give those fast, quick defensive linemen, defensive ends any inch, and they'll be out of your view before you're blinking, they're gone. So that's something that he would need to work on as well. But Michael Dieter, 6'5", 309, I really like his size. Now, with their last pick of the 7th round, I kind of took this one for Derek. He was still sitting out there, and I know he likes him. So I ended up taking Hunter Renfrow, the wide receiver out of Clemson. Once again, this guy is 5'10", 180 pounds. He's not like the speed demon that you're looking for. He pretty much runs like a 4.6 40. But he's going to be your slot guy, that guy that runs the underneath routes, much like Golden Tate did. I know we just signed Danny Amendola, but once again, that's a short contract. Danny Amendola may be there just to kind of teach the guys, that are the younger guys, take them under the wing, tell them how to be pros, tell them what to look for, running the underneath routes, and really know like how to actually block downfield when you're in there. That's a big thing as well. Not for sure how much of Hunter Renfrow had to do that at Clemson, but a few things Hunter Renfrow is really good at. He's really quick out of his breaks, and that's really a big thing that you would need for that slot receiver. That's how he was able to get open so much at Clemson in a lot of games. He was just quick out of the breaks, and the defensive backs that he was going up against when he was against the slot corners, he was just able to get space. And with that being said, he really has sticky fingers. This guy just catches everything thrown at him, and that's a a big need that Detroit always has, especially for that underneath slot guy. Slot guys with sticky fingers can get open. They don't always have to be the fastest guy. They can just be that quick twitch guy that can get open and get the first down and make a couple men miss, and take a 3-yard pass, take 8-9 yards. I mean, that's what you're really looking for at some points for that slot guy. It's just create your own space, get open, and get the first down when needed. Now, like I said, the couple negatives on him, he's just not as fast as other wide receivers. It's like pretty close to 4.6 40 right there. Once again, he's only 5'10", 180 pounds. That's pretty small. So slot guys, you've seen a lot of those guys. They take a lick on some catches. They really get hit, and I know that the NFL is really trying to clean that up with going shots to the head, defenseless receivers, things like that. But still, I mean, there's plenty of clean hits out there where guys really get lumbered late on them. And, 5'10", 180 pounds, that's a small guy running the slot. Having to watch out for a safety or a linebacker coming through to lay the lumber on you after you make a catch. And also with him being a little smaller, his catch radius. He doesn't have a very big catch radius. Now we've seen games where Matt Stafford, he'll put the ball on the numbers for you, but then we've also seen the games where Matt Stafford can be a little wild, and the wide receivers have to do a really good job of contorting their body, making a catch that just kind of leaves us, with our jaws dropped, saying, "Wow, what a catch! What a great catch!" And at that point, it's just making Stafford look good. So smaller catch radius with him, he'll really have to put the ball in on the numbers here with Hunter Renfrow. Because anything, once again, slot receivers run a lot of stuff over the middle. A lot of guys hang out over the middle. And so you throw over the middle, passes get tipped. That can just lead to interceptions for safeties, linebackers. Guys just waiting to lick their chops on those tip drill balls right there. So that's all 7 rounds for me. I know Derek's going to listen to this, and probably on a podcast here, he's just going to be laughing at me and saying he'll tell me some picks are good. Then there's some picks he's going to leave scratching his head, and we might duke it out and fight on it. But that's really the first time I've ever really done a full 7-round draft and looked at players, that far down. Now I have looked at guys in the past and said this guy may be good, this guy may be good, but I've never really slotted them in late round picks and stuff like that. So everybody, that's my draft. Once again, Montez Sweat in the first round, Amani Oruwariye in the second, Josh Oliver, the tight end, out of San Jose State in the third, Lamont Gallard, the offensive center out of Georgia in the fourth, Bryce Love in the fifth, Miles Boykin and Savion Smith in the sixth, and Michael Dieter, the offensive tackle out of Wisconsin, and Hunter Renfrow, the wide receiver out of Clemson in the sixth. So, Hunter Renfrow in the seventh, along with Michael Dieter. So that's my draft, and I don't know, I'd be pretty happy with that if that fell to the Lions. I know some of you guys would be like, this guy's terrible, this guy sucks, but that's okay. Feel free to do your own 7-round draft and see how it comes up. I don't really have any other questions today from anybody, which is good. And that's all I have today. So I appreciate everybody taking the time to listen. That's what my thoughts are on the draft. The draft is almost here, less than a month away. I'm pretty stoked for that. So once again, everybody, thanks for listening in. And once again, like Derek asked, do I have anything for anybody else? Nope. Everybody have a good night. Thanks for listening.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become? Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
Pack the bag! Start the plane! This game is over! It is over! What a comeback by the Lions! Drink it in, man!